Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fake kiss scenes and straightwashing in BL. This isn't a problem limited to Korean productions, but recent events in the Korean BL scene prompted me to discuss this topic, so I'll primarily focus on recent Korean BL to highlight this overarching issue. Starting with fake kiss scenes, if you've watched enough BL series, you've seen a fake kiss before, where they use carefully chosen camera angles and editing to hide what's going on up close, a technique more common in older BL or in my middle school drama club. Fortunately, the genre's come a long way in that department, but occasionally, we still see mediocre scenes that remind us of the early days, when any hint of romance was appreciated. Nowadays, a fake-out kiss like the one between Do-yoon and Joo-ha in Jazz for Two is a little annoying. Why include the scene if it lacks authenticity? In my opinion, it's unclear who's to blame for this. Some people point fingers at the actors, suggesting that Han Gi-yeon's status as a K-pop idol might be the reason for the fake kiss. While this assumption makes sense, given similar instances in productions like Starstruck, where awkward obviously fake kiss scenes are included, I haven't been able to find direct confirmation that idols or their management companies prohibit such scenes. There are plenty of other BL series where idols deliver convincing kiss scenes. Even in Jazz for Two, the actor who plays Sehun is in New Kid and manages decent kisses in the series. Unless you think it's a case-by-case thing, it wouldn't shock me if some idols and their teams aren't okay with portraying intimate scenes. But then why go for BL roles if they are unwilling to fully commit to this romantic aspect? If that's true, it comes across like they view BL roles as a shortcut to fame, only seeing queer roles as a means to quickly build a loyal fan base. That wouldn't be surprising. It's not uncommon for actors to achieve success with a BL role and then never take on another queer role again. In Thailand, there are language factors that might make me a bit more forgiving. Some actors have faced international scandal because they've expressed a desire to move away from Y series. Depending on how they word it, they might simply mean they're not interested in the heavily advertised, fan service driven series anymore. They may not necessarily be admitting to using BL as a stepping stone. However, some actors do make it clear that they want to avoid anything LGBT once they've built a solid fan base outside of BL. So, as I said, I look at it as a case-by-case thing. I'd say the directors, writers, and production team bear more responsibility, especially for newer actors. Doing kissing scenes can be nerve-wracking. It's understandable if they feel uncomfortable being intimate with someone they don't know well, especially with so many cameras and crew around. It's perfectly okay for actors to set boundaries. However, if the script or source material, like in the case of Jazz for Two, which is based on a popular webtoon, requires intimacy, casting calls should be clear about that. Directors and writers should then find actors willing to accurately portray those scenes. While actors have the right to refuse kissing scenes, directors also have the right to find actors who will perform the scene as written. There are so many actors out there who are willing to commit to these scenes to create the right picture, and there are so many directors and writers who are willing to produce good queer stories. So unless people who work on a series come out clearly stating who is at fault, I can see how both sides could play a part in the problem. Either way, I still think fake kiss scenes are an issue. Many of us are drawn to the genre because they showcase queer love stories. Fake kiss scenes may seem trivial, but they contribute to the disappointment of seeing gay characters lacking physical affection in a forced and uncomfortable manner. It feels like these characters are depicted as gay, yet the creators are hesitant to fully embrace their gayness. Do-yoon and Joo-ha was particularly disappointing. When you realize Jazz for Two also has so many homophobic moments in it, it just adds to why the series made me feel so icky. I've heard that the webtoon handles toxicity and character development better, which is reassuring. I've always maintained that homophobia in queer narratives can be acceptable if it serves a purpose beyond simply being there to add negativity. That brings me to the next topic I want to discuss, straightwashing. There's a new Korean series called Hisu in Class 2, which has felt like it's been in production forever. Many of us had given up hope of it ever coming out. Recently, we received an update that it is indeed a real show and will be released soon. However, the announcement that should have been exciting turned frustrating. Let me explain. Hisu in Class 2 is a beloved BL Korean webtoon. The team in charge of the live-action adaptation announced they would introduce a heterosexual couple that doesn't exist in the webtoon. While the characters are present in the webtoon, they are not together. In the live-action version, they will be portrayed as being in a romantic relationship. They will be the main storyline alongside Hisu and Seungwon. This upset many people for good reason. Firstly, the show is literally called Hisu in Class 2. It's supposed to be about him. Now, I'm not fluent in Korean, and my sources for this announcement are all translated articles, so I'm unsure if there's any nuance to this. However, based on what I've read, it seems like the heterosexual couple will receive just as much screen time as the BL storyline, making them all full main characters, rather than the straight couple being a side storyline. If that's truly the case, it's ridiculous. As I mentioned, it's called Hisu in Class 2, while the entire story doesn't need to revolve solely around him. Creating a heterosexual couple that doesn't exist in the source material, to take away screen time from the queer characters, is not a good idea. Many characters and queer stories fall victim to straightwashing, where queerness is erased from content to appeal to a heterosexual audience. BL audiences have had numerous conversations over the years about the genre's desire to not alienate conservative viewers or cater purely to fetishizers. Hisu in Class 2 seems to be an example of taking a queer story and twisting it to suit a heterosexual and homophobic audience. Hisu in Class 2 is airing on mainstream TV, so I'm assuming that's why they're making these drastic changes to the story. From a marketing perspective, I get why they'd adapt an exclusively queer manga this way in a conservative country, but it's not innovative, it's cowardly. Even in China, where censorship is strict, they didn't add a straight couple to shows like The Untamed and Stay With Me, they kept it queer-coded. I'm sure Hisu in Class 2 will still center Hisu and the BL of it all. They are still main characters at the end of the day. We won't know for sure until the series is on our screens. But it made my thoughts on straightwashing spiral. Straightwashing and erasure of gay intimacy scenes in BL. It's just a wild concept to me. I'm disappointed by the trend of straightwashing in LGBTQ+ content, where gay intimacy scenes are removed or altered to cater to a broader audience. It's strange that networks would air gay stories, but hesitate to include genuine intimacy, or focus solely on queer narratives. It's like they're trying to appeal to a hypothetical audience comfortable with LGBTQ+ themes, as long as they're not too explicit. To me, that seems like a small demographic, compared to the larger community of queer watchers and allies, who seek authentic and nuanced storytelling. Unfortunately, Jazz 2 and Hisu in Class 2 missed the memo. Some of these showrunners have the chance to influence how queer media is perceived in Korea, and they choose to pass it up. As a queer viewer, it's always disappointing when queer characters and queer intimacy are removed. We need to talk about why this keeps happening.